Good evening, and a greeting of peace, Om Shanti. It's wonderful that you've taken the time to be with us here this evening, and I hope that this evening will be not just something that you listen to, but something that you're able to carry away in your hearts as an experience. Because through the space of the talk, we'll have time for moments of silence, just a minute, and I hope that you'll see that it's very simple and very easy, and you'll be able to experience the benefit of it now, today, but also carry away that experience with you. In fact, the best thing to do is to begin right now. So let's have a moment of silence, and I'm going to speak out my own thoughts as I reflect and invite you to follow those ideas. I let the body sit comfortably, and I can feel it relaxing, so that the body can experience comfort and the mind can be set free. And my mind goes inside. I visualize a spark of light, a point of concentrated energy in the center of the forehead. I focus on this awareness of my spiritual identity as a being of light. This is who I am. And as I remain in this awareness, the light shines and rays of peace reach out into the world. I hold this awareness in my mind, and I come back to the reality of the physical dimension and my surroundings and the people here. But I continue to be aware of the light that shines. Just a minute. That's all it takes to create the thoughts that can take me on the journey inwards, and through that inner journey to come to that point of light and stillness within. And I think especially at this moment in human history, this is a time when more than ever we need to experiment with the power of silence and experience how the power of silence is actually able to heal the self. Wherever it is you are in the world today, you may be in a very quiet place, a wonderful beach, far away from civilization. And yet, there's sound, there's noise. And if there isn't noise outside, there's probably a lot of noise inside. And when we are in a world of sound, we don't always realize all the noise that we ourselves are generating inside our own minds. And it's only when the world outside becomes quiet, the aeroplane has come just on cue to remind us that even in this place, an oasis of peace, there's still noise outside, out there. So that's part of our way of life today. But maybe much, much more so an extreme state than ever before. Just as other forms of pollution have reached an extreme state, so too noise pollution, really, really extreme at this moment. But when we have the good fortune of being in a quiet space, no noise, no sound outside, and we're able to listen to ourselves, maybe that's when we become most aware of the noise inside and the incessant chattering that's going on. Or maybe at night when we're trying to go to rest, and instead of letting the mind become quiet and gradually become silent and experience that rest that can bring refreshment, maybe it's at that time that this machine moves very, very quickly, and the experiences of the day, not just that day, maybe the experiences of the week or even last year, some things happened and that's left a very deep impact, and so I keep revisiting, and those scenes keep coming back and replayed again and again. How do I deal with all of this? Is it at all possible, or is this how life is and I just have to accept it and say, well, I have to live with it? I think there's something that we've forgotten that's very, very critical, and that is that the human soul, and I say this very consciously, in the sense that we know that we're human beings, but maybe we've forgotten that within the human being, the being is actually the soul. The human is this physical form, but the being is that spark of light that we were experimenting with in silence a few minutes ago. And we've forgotten that within the human soul, there's a very, very special creative power that we possess. We value creativity very highly today. I can't even imagine the sorts of figures that people are paid just simply because they're creative. That's how much we appreciate it. But yet, we've forgotten that each and every one of us is a highly creative individual. And the very first act of creation for every human being is the ability to create thought. We saw the silence film in which we were told that generally it's about 36,000 thoughts each one of us has per day. And I'm sure that it's been your experience that some days it's more than 36,000, right? Maybe it's like 36,000 just in the first few hours of the day, and the day gets more and more intense as it goes on. And so we know how fast this mind works and this machine keeps moving. And yet we've forgotten that we ourselves are in charge of this particular machine, and we can determine the speed with which this machine moves, but also the direction that it takes. Had you ever thought of that? That you can actually decide which direction your thoughts go in. And you can actually determine the quality of your thoughts, but also the speed of your thoughts. Most times we're not aware of this. And so the machine's being taken over by external influences. We see something, we hear something, and we react according to that. And we've forgotten that there is actually an independent choice that we have, regardless of what the external situation is. There might be whatever it is that's going on outside, and I can choose what sort of thoughts I would like to have. And the more I understand this, and secondly, the more I practice this, the easier it becomes. And so situations that maybe a month ago would have created a storm in my mind and would have gone around and around and around in my mind, and I wouldn't have been able to deal with it. There would have just been a reaction with others in that particular situation. And yet, practicing this, understanding how to move thoughts in the right direction, and maybe today, a month later, the same situation, but I'm able to remain calm. I'm able to say, okay, let me understand what they're trying to say, or let me understand what is the significance of all of this, and let me just stay very cool, very calm, and go inside and experience silence. And you'll be able to see this transformation happen within yourself, not even in the space of a month, but believe me, it can happen within the space of one day. Just a day of practice of going inside and starting to be the master of your own thoughts and create thoughts that can be beautiful and powerful and pure, and creating the space between those thoughts that can allow you to tap into your own inner silence, and you can feel the difference. Really, it is as fast as that. So my hope is that even just in the space of the next hour, you'll experiment with this and experience it a few times. And when I learn to do this, and I find that quiet space within myself, the space in which I'm able to experience silence, I realize how hungry I was for this, how much I'd missed it and needed it. But it's like a child. A child cries when it's hungry or thirsty, but it's not able to articulate it. It's not able to say that this is what I actually need. And so most of us, we feel that emptiness within, or a neediness that's coming up in our lives, or a discontent that we feel, and yet we don't realize that what we're hungering for is that experience of inner silence that's able to fill us and satisfy us and give us an inner strength and be able to heal the self. And so the starting point of the healing power of silence is just with my thoughts. Thoughts are extremely powerful. Thoughts have created the whole world around us. Our thoughts have created our lives also. Whatever has been the quality of my thinking has led to those words and actions, and I find myself wherever it is I am today. That's how powerful thoughts are. And what's happened is that lack of awareness of this has meant that the influence of negativity of the world is so strong that most of my own thoughts have become extremely negative. And the negativity of my own thoughts has caused me a lot of pain. Just reflect on this for a moment, and you can see how maybe 1 minute you're feeling fine, everything's okay, you're managing quite well. And then you see somebody, and the thoughts start moving in. But why is she saying this? Why is she doing this? I don't like the color of her costume today. Oh, how funny she looks with that makeup. Stupid thoughts, thoughts that have no business to be coming. And yet it's become a habit to be critical instead of being appreciative, to be negative instead of being positive. And so those thoughts come, and of course I don't know how to stop them. I don't realize I should be stopping them. And so they keep moving and moving. And